Hey everyone, talking about 10 niche fragrances that could work in any weather, any season, any time of year. These are all either masculine or like kind of unisex, leaning masculine. And I recently did one about designer ones. I wanted to do one that was kind of more on the affordable side, but these are ones that are more in the niche and indie realm that would also work for that. So, no particular order, jumping in. Hemingway by Masque Milano. This smells, it's almost like a bundle of hazelnuts wrapped in leather with vetiver growing out of it. And then as it dries down, it becomes more of like a deep, rich vetiver, very versatile, and not only in the sense of the weather and season part, like the theme of this video, but also it could work for formal events. It could work for everyday office use, as long as you don't overspray or, wherever kind of workplace you work. And yeah, very well done vetiver centered fragrance. Next up, 33 by Chris Rusak. Really rich and interesting. Also vetiver here. And then there's the way the like cocoa and the vetiver combined here, it's almost tobacco-like to my nose in a nice way. I mean, I don't love tobacco, but I like the kind of tobacco-like accord that it creates here. Everything about this scent just has so much depth and just really nicely done. And I would say this is on the more formal side. The perfumer's description mentions it having an accord reminiscent of the smell of a natural history museum. And I guess I could totally see that, but that makes it sound like it's disgusting, and I don't think it is. But yeah, there's something like interesting about it in that sense. It's kind of somber and serious, but also fun and lively at the same time. And yeah, definitely can be worn year round. Next up, Encelade by Marc-Antoine Barrois. On me, this is really woodsy with a sort of like vegetal bite to it and then some creamy powder. The sandalwood is definitely prominent, and it almost has that kind of like dill vibe to me at times, that like Centol 33 style, not like something more dramatic than that. And yeah, it just smells very high quality, well blended, and very versatile, not only for weather but also for wearing for all kinds of different types of occasions. If you like rhubarb and all kinds of sandalwood, then I would definitely recommend it. If you're not a big sandalwood fan, then I would maybe skip, but if you like sandalwood, then I don't think you're going to mind that kind of sort of dill leaning part that some people get out of it. Next up, 16A Orchard by Aedes Venustas. So refined and nice. I get like a cocktail vibe from it. Like there's no boozy notes, but it feels like, drinking like a smooth gin and tonic while wearing a ginger cologne or something like that. There is iris here, and I am not usually a big iris fan, but the way it's done here is the perfect usage to my nose. And I think this is one of those where also, in addition to the weather, it could be worn for any occasion, but it seems especially nice for when you want to smell sophisticated and classy in a very like effortless way. This one has low longevity and projection, but again, that goes with the sort of like sophisticated and classy vibe. And to me, there's a time and place for every kind of projection and longevity, even lower ones. So yeah, next, Uncut Gem by Frederic Malle. Really like this one. And the marketing copy for this was really hammering home, like, this is the definition of rugged manliness. So I thought this was going to be very intensely hypermasculine, and I actually don't think it is. I mean, it leans masculine for sure, but it's not one of those ones that's so thick and overpowering or something like that. It starts with like this burst of fresh citrus and bitter green angelica, wrapped in sort of a light cloud of warm spice. Then the citrus goes away, the vetiver amps up more with some leather, and then there's some frankincense in the base. And in a pretty clean way. That sounds like it could be kind of intense, but in like a very clean and smooth way. Yeah, surprisingly versatile. Again, one of those where not only any weather, any season, but also both casual and formal occasions. Next up, Vetiver in Chestnut by Sense of Wood. Love this one. So well blended, so high quality. And I tend to just be pretty impressed by Sense of Wood in general. I don't love every one of their fragrances, but they really stand out to me as a fragrance house in a good way. This is very smooth. There's like juniper that adds this kind of bracing cool freshness, and it doesn't go too gin and tonic like sometimes that kind of fresh juniper can. I like how I just earlier in the same list video said, oh, this smells like a gin and tonic, so wonderful, about 16A Orchard, but that has a fine line between being done well and then sometimes just coming across too dry or boozy. But there's also licorice that I thought I wouldn't like here, but it's done very well, and it's like a suave version. It's not like licorice candy to me. The vetiver here is very clean, but also with a lot of depth, very woodsy. Then the pink pepper adds this like kick of bright, pep to it. And the sage is this kind of calming aromatic side. There's a bit of powder from the orris and carrot seed, but it just adds this like light accent, and it doesn't become like a powder bomb, so to speak. So yeah, not only any weather, but also casual or formal occasion kind of would work for anything. And for this, and I guess all of them for that matter, if you're wearing it in super high heat, just do one spray first for the first time you wear it in that weather to test it, because yeah, some of these are very like in really really high heat. Sometimes the only thing that you can really spray a lot of and not feel kind of nauseated, at least for me, is like very fresh citrus stuff. But most of these can also be worn in high heat, even as long as you don't spray too high. Next up, Cypress by Clive Christian. Nice, very refined in a classic way, but not like dated or anything. I love this one, but it is so expensive. But it's Clive Christian, so it's like $550 for a 50 milliliter. Yikes! If you don't mind shelling that out, I mean, I would recommend sampling first either way, but it is really good. I think it's like sophisticated, aromatic, woodsy, and green, and it has this sharp but yet very well blended like tart citrus. Very versatile, and yeah, again, on top of the weather thing, could work for fancy occasion, could work for just a casual hangout. Although, who wants to waste that many sprays of something so expensive on something that casual, maybe? But yeah, just really elegant and beautiful bottle too. And even if this was like $350 for like 100 mil, honestly, I could see it. But just $550 for a 50 mil, yikes! But yeah, I do really really like that. Just really nice like woodsy citrus. Next, Series 3 Incense Kyoto by Comme de Garcons. Much more affordable than the last one. So good. Just super wearable and modern incense. And it has this kind of intriguing bite to it, but also a little bit of a sweet side. And it has like upbeat energy to it, but it also is relaxing. So it just kind of like serves a lot of purposes. And I think that it could work for a pretty big variety of situations. You do have to like incense as a note, but as far as incense goes, this is much more like accessible, relatable, like not the really super churchy kind and not the kind that's just like so fiery or something either. So it would be like a good starter kind of incense fragrance to wear. Next, Greenwich by Boadicea the Victorious, another one that's no doubt expensive. This is like attractive, high quality smelling, smoky and leathery rose and oud and it's both like classy and badass at the same time. Such a smooth take on rose and oud, because I normally really don't like rose and oud. Like, I don't like them by themselves, and I do not like rose and oud scents usually, but this is like, wow, I really do like this. And yeah, there's like also smooth, warm spice and vetiver. And I don't see people talk about this that much. I think it's really underrated because people talk about other expensive Boadicea the Victorious ones, so I don't think it's just about the price. But yeah, and that one I would say is like unisex leaning masculine. And last, Haxan by Parfum Prissana. Love the smoky greenness of this one. It's like bold, aromatic, fresh spice, woodsy, earthy, and even animalic, but somehow does still smell wearable for like from beginning to end and for, pretty much any season. It is a little bit more, like you have to be at least somewhat okay with animalic notes by the dry down, but as long as you're like even somewhat remotely open to those, then it is very wearable. Yeah. And I would say that one's more like unisex. I think that if the average non-fragrance person smelled that, they would think it smelled masculine, probably. But within fragrance, I would say it's more just like that it's a smoky, green, woodsy, earthy, and animalic type of scent. And some people compare it to Zoologist Sloth. I actually think Haxan is a lot more wearable than Sloth. I like Sloth as a creative concept, but Haxan to me is better from just a pure, like, oh, you can wear this in public type of sense. I mean, there are phases that might be considered a bit challenging for that, but overall, yeah. And again, just to caveat with any of these, if you're wearing them in very high heat, do a test spray first of just like one spray and go out like that for there, wherever, and just see how it goes. And then you can slowly increase, because most scents that are not explicitly like warm weather scents, I personally would not wear when it's hot out, just because it can feel so nauseating and like too sweet or thick or like whatever. But these ones, I think, even during hot weather, as long as you like play around with the sprays and don't just do 10 sprays the first time you wear it and then go into a really hot area or something, I think that you could still be successful with that. And yeah, if you have any that you think I should have and didn't add or that work for this for you, let me know.